Hey Rebel Rouser, I'm Alan Voivod and this is Star Wars 7 by 7. We're at episode number 1638, goodness gracious. And we're continuing our year in review series looking at Lucasfilm Media. And today we're talking about television stuff. What 2018 was like in the world of television for Star Wars. Now, the big early situation had to do with Star Wars Rebels, and we found out in 2017 that season 4 would be the last season of Rebels, and it was going to be special because we were going to find out what it would be like for Dave Filoni to end a series the way that he wanted to end it, and that was, of course, very exciting. And so Star Wars Rebels ended with a bang, and they took no prisoners. They managed to kill one major character, made another one disappear off the face of God's green earth, managed to introduce the child of two characters, and also reintroduce Ahsoka Tano as still having lived from the end of the Twilight of the Apprentice series, or excuse me, season 2 cliffhanger. And so that, of course, is very exciting, and also left as many questions unanswered as it answered, including what is the fate of Ezra Bridger and what is the fate of Grand Admiral Thrawn, since they have been jumped to hyperspace by a bunch of Purrgil, and we have no idea where they've gone. But apparently Ahsoka seems to think that at least Ezra is still alive and out there, and so she and Sabine are on their way to find them. And what goes on from there? Well, yeah, there's been no indication just yet. So the other big news that happened on the animation front is that, speaking of ending shows the way that Dave Filoni wants them to end, we are getting a 7th season of The Clone Wars, and that, of course, was announced with a trailer celebrating the 10th anniversary of The Clone Wars at San Diego Comic-Con in July. And so that will be debuting on the Disney streaming service. We've done a few episodes about that, about the 12 episodes and what those story arcs may in fact include. And then, of course, there is Star Wars Resistance, which is the new animated series, which is actually pitched slightly younger than Star Wars Rebels, and that has already dropped its first 11 episodes of Season 1, where we've been introduced to Kaz Xiono and his funny folks on Team Fireball at the Colossus refueling platform on the planet Castellon. The fact that Kaz is a former New Republic pilot and has been recruited into the Resistance as a spy by Poe Dameron himself. And we've had more guest appearances, as we've talked about on the show here, from Oscar Isaac as Poe Dameron and from Gwendolyn Christie as Captain Phasma than we've had for a lot of other guest appearances for Star Wars Rebels or the Clone Wars before it, in terms of actual famous guest stars coming from the movies and how much they've done to actually voice their characters. I think they've already matched what Forrest Whitaker did for Star Wars Rebels and coming from the whole Rogue One situation. So yeah, it's been a pretty impressive run for Resistance so far. And then, naturally, with the Disney streaming service being announced, there's Disney television stuff going on as well. So we found out that it is going to be called Disney Plus. So there's the name, yay! Now we know, and we know the Clone Wars is going to be part of its debut in late 2019. And we also got the announcements about 2 new television series for Disney Plus, one of which is actually in production right now, The Mandalorian, which is being run by Jon Favreau, and which is starring Pedro Pascal and a host of other folks, including, strangely enough, Nick Nolte, who once auditioned for Han Solo, and Werner Herzog, the very iconoclastic independent film producer, director, writer, and occasionally actor also, in some very interesting role choices, including this one, it seems. And the Cassian Andor series, naturally, which won't be coming out for another couple of years, but for which they have a showrunner so far, and so that at least is starting to develop. I believe they're hiring a writer's room during 2018, so there is that as well. And we already have directors for The Mandalorian, which include Taika Waititi, who directed Thor Ragnarok, and Bryce Dallas Howard, who is probably best known for being in the Jurassic World movies, who is also the daughter of Ron Howard, and who also has done other acting and directing in her own right. So as opposed to what I'd been saying in the last couple of days when we talked about the video gaming side of the house and when we talked about the books and comics side of the house, how it seemed like kind of a down year in 2018 comparatively, just in terms of the volume of production compared to 2017. Well, it seems like it's either A, even with television as far as that goes between 2017 and 2018, because you had Rebels going in 2017, and that was pretty much the only game in town for TV. And it ended, but, you know, right when it would have picked up in the fall, even if it hadn't ended as a series, Star Wars Resistance picked right up. So, you know, basically breaking even, except for the fact that we have announcements for not one, not two, but 3 different series that are showing up on Disney Plus. And that suggests that they are ramping up this production. And that, combined with another piece of news that came out earlier this year, definitely suggests that TV is going to be something that's very important to Disney and Lucasfilm's strategy going forward, streaming television in specific. And I'll share that one particular headline with you in just a moment. First, though, I gotta remind you, if you're not subscribing, hey, please subscribe. I hope you're enjoying this daily dose of Star Wars joy. In fact, I hope you enjoy it so much that you consider joining the community at patreon.com/SW7X7. So the headline thing that happened was that there was this screening for Black Panther, and it was leading up to the Oscars screening, and somebody talked to Kathleen Kennedy and asked about the Boba Fett movie, the one that Josh Trank was supposed to be working on all those years ago. And Kathleen Kennedy said at this thing that it was 100% dead and that they were fully focusing on The Mandalorian. And so it does suggest that this whole standalone movie thing, it might be on hold for a while. The standalones like Rogue One, like Solo: A Star Wars Story, like the Boba Fett one that was allegedly in development, like the Obi-Wan Kenobi one that was supposedly getting underway with Stephen Daldry attached to it, maybe, you know, all of these other ones that have been rumored about. It seems like television really is where Disney is going to be focusing, and, you know, if they're going to launch their own streaming service, it's not like they don't have a ton of content already that they could use to, you know, create a wonderful, amazing catalog of content for that streaming service. But hey, you got to feed the beast too, and so it seems like this may be where they're going to be putting a significant amount of effort going forward on the Lucasfilm front. And that is going to do it for today's episode of the show. Thank you so much for joining me for this look back at 2018 for the television side of the house. And of course, as always, may the Force be with you wherever in the world you may be.
This podcast is not endorsed or sponsored yet by Lucasfilm Limited, Disney, or 20th Century Fox, and is intended for entertainment and information purposes only. Star Wars, the Star Wars logo, all names and pictures of Star Wars characters, vehicles, and any other Star Wars-related items are registered trademarks and/or copyrights of Lucasfilm Limited or their respective trademark and copyright holders. May the Force be with them. All original content is copyright 2018 Star Wars 7x7. We hope you love it.